looking at Bitcoin, and essentially Bitcoin opened the doors to a whole array of other things.
Hmm.
What is money? What is banking? How do banks work? How does the government work? What are taxes? What's their role? And it just began from there, the avalanche.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a quick disclaimer. Permissible Paths is a media company dedicated to supporting Muslim entrepreneurs in their journey to success in this life and in the next. We serve as an interviewer platform and as well as bringing news and insights about the current business and financing world to the Muslim community. We aim to bridge the gap between business, finance, industry, and the general Muslim population while providing valuable information and promoting economic awareness. Please note, Permissible Paths does not represent a source of Islamic education, but rather a hub for entrepreneurship and business exposure. We pride ourselves in upholding an exemplary level of Islamic integrity and adherence to the Quran and Sunnah. However, it is important to clarify that the views and lives of the interviewees outside of our platform do not necessarily reflect or receive support from Permissible Paths. Our goal is to inform, inspire, and educate our audience about business and finance topics related to the Muslim community. We encourage our viewers to conduct their own research and consult with qualified professionals for specific advice related to their personal circumstances. Please be aware that the information shared on Permissible Paths is for general informational purposes, for educational informational purposes, and should not be considered financial, legal, or professional advice. We recommend seeking independent advice before making any business or financial decisions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another episode of Permissible Paths, where we are talking to Muslims who are treading permissible paths in seeking wealth from Allah. Today is not another different day. We have on thee. Please introduce yourself. Oh,
My name is Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Muaawiyah. I graduated from the Islamic University of Medina. I actually was in the same year as Brother Shadid, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother
alhamdulillah.
Shadid. If you're out there, love you, man. Miss you lots. Yeah, just doing usual things, teaching, educating, and sharing the love.
Okay. If you could take a second to break down, because I know some Muslims, especially reverts, they might not necessarily understand the importance of I studied with so and so, or I went to the University of Medina. So if you could just like, what does that really mean?
Um, Funny you mentioned that because in my head it means something, but not as much as people think it means. So, um, Islam is a rich religion. Allah has given us a complete holistic way of life, and with the complexities of life and the difficulties of traversing all the different things in life, we have enough information, principles, maxims, guidance, huda from Allah to navigate this path to the best of our ability. It doesn't mean that through the Sharia, our lives will become like Jannah, like paradise. It doesn't mean that we won't have any difficulties and trials and tribulations. What it does mean is that as part of our opportunity to worship Allah, we are given an opportunity to worship Allah through His guidance, through His instruction, and hopefully, as a reward from that, this is not guaranteed, but hopefully, as a reward from that, our lives will be easier, our problems will be less, and inshallah, we'll be rewarded with Jannah. But like I said, I have to make that caveat that um, just because the person follows the Sharia doesn't mean life will be easier.
Mm,
That's just a given. So that being the case, if you wanted to know about the Sharia, it does require one to study that.
mhm.
And generally speaking, in the past, Muslims used to travel. They used to go to sit with the Sheikh, go to wherever the Sheikh lives. If he lives in your village, you sit with him. If he lives in another village, another town, another state, another country, even, you would travel there and you'd study, you'd gain that knowledge. And when you come home, you bring that knowledge back to your people and whatnot. So in this day and age, with the age of formalization of certificates and institutionalization of things, we now have universities. So
Mm.
Saudi Arabia established a university called the Al-Jami'a Islamiyya, or Islamic University. That was established in Medina. The primary goal of that university was to educate the Ummah as a whole. That's why at the time when it was institutionalized, I think there was a quota of no more than 20 or 30% of the students must be from Saudi Arabia, the rest must be foreigners. So it was
Wow.
basically a university open to foreigners.
Mm.
I think it's changed a bit now because obviously with Saudiization, they wanted more Saudis involved. But the point here is that for at least half a century, the university was geared towards taking people from their countries, whether it be China, Mongolia, Argentina, wherever. They would pay for them to come to Saudi Arabia. They would give them a stipend, a place to live, and it would educate them from the ground up as far as it can go. First by learning the Arabic language, then by doing a degree. There was 5 faculties. I think initially there was only one faculty, which is the faculty of Sharia, but when I was there was 5 faculties. One was Sharia, which is Islamic Law. That's when I graduated from. Then we had Hadith and Quran and Hadith. Quran to memorize Quran and all the 10 recitations. Hadith, the science of Hadith. We had the faculty of language. And finally, we had the faculty of Da'wah. So after that, there was opportunity to further your studies with a master's and a PhD, and some did that. I wasn't granted the permission from Allah to go to master's. I only finished with a degree, which was alhamdulillah good enough. And so the importance of studying knowledge is that when you study, you get a holistic view of the Sharia. You don't get a warped, one-sided, politicized, or even a Western version of Islam. You get the Islam that was the Islam at the source, at the beginning. And that's one of the virtues, I would say, of the Islamic University Medina, is that you're not there to study one view or their view. You're there to study all views, because they're there to teach you how to think, how to analyze, how to break down, how to analyze, how to look at evidence, how to assess validity of evidence, strength of evidence, and discuss to and from. So, we don't just study the correct aqidah, we study even the false ones and the evidences. So you kind of be exposed to it all, so that when you come out of it, you're well versed in reality, not just a puppet repeating something you've been told. Now, when I said earlier on that it's not as good as people think it is, the only caveat I would say is that it does require you to study. Just because you're in a place doesn't mean you know anything. that's the only caveat. And unfortunately, I mean, it's with everything really. You have some who have been to institutions, but it's hard to see how they benefit from it. But anyway, that's a separate discussion. But at least the institution has a goal, and inshallah, we hope that Allah has made those who graduate from the institution have benefit from that goal, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah. Can you break down what Islamic law is? Because you said you graduated from there particularly.
Yeah, so when I got there, I spent 3 years learning the Arabic language.
Okay.
And then when you graduate, you choose where to go. So the faculty of Quran, that the main focus of the faculty was the Quran, obviously, but was tafsir. So number one, you should have memorized the whole Quran, obviously, because when you go there, you do finish by memorizing the remaining 10 recitations of the Quran. So there's 10 modes of recitation of the Quran. So by the time you finished the faculty of Quran, you should have memorized all 10. And with that, you specialize in tafsir, how to extract and understand the Quran and explain the Quran, and specialize in the explanations of the past of other ulama of the Quran. So that's your speciality. If you went to hadith, likewise, your speciality is hadith, the science of hadith, the knowledge of the narrators of hadith, whether they're valid, whether they're authentic or not authentic. I think that's where Shadid graduated from hadith. Then you have the faculty of lugha, language, which basically means the Arabic language, which essentially is balagha, expression, all that kind of stuff, nahw and sarf, grammar and morphology and whatnot. And then you have the faculty of da'wah, which is basically the jack of all trades. They don't really specialize in anything other than aqidah, belief, and history, because obviously their goal is to give da'wah. But their approach is more broad. They would have a more broad study of everything than all the other faculties. And the faculty of Sharia or Islamic law essentially refers to exactly that. It refers to the legal legislations that Allah has given us, beginning with the pillars of Islam, i.e. salah, the prayer, the fasting, the zakah, the hajj. Also, it extends to the other aspects of Islamic law, which deals with, for example, governance, like government, for example, jihad, warfare. It deals with criminal law the crimes that may exist in society, and how Islam punishes and implements punishments, judicial law, how courts take place, who are witnesses, how do you deal with witnesses, how do you deal with testimony, how do you deal with self-testimony, how do you deal with evidence, what isn't evidence in court. Also deals with marriage, divorce, child custody, and obviously in your channel it deals with business. How to do business, how to conduct business, what kind of things can you buy, what kind of things you can sell, what kind of transactions can take place, what kind of contracts can take place. So, and there's so much more. So
Yeah.
Islamic Sharia is not just, it doesn't even talk about things like parking fines and all that. It talks about literally the legal framework which Allah has given us for everything, from cleanliness to how to do business and how to conduct a loan.
Okay. Awesome. Alhamdulillah. So with that being said, can you give more of basically what you do? I know you mentioned you're a teacher,
Yeah.
but I'd like you to touch more on the backstory of you.
So, I mean, backstory wise, I mean, I became Muslim in the late 1990s, late 90s. And then obviously I was new to Islam, and I was very excited about learning about Islam. And I used to attend certain circles and read certain books. But my thirst for knowledge was obviously more than what those books can suffice. So I applied to Islamic University Medina, and a year after college, which I think in your background it'd be high school, because our college is college, you guys call it high school. So we went to after a year after college, I got accepted to Medina, and that's when I started studying Medina, and I was there for 7 years. And after graduating, my vision was I wanted to bring to the UK what I had learnt abroad. I wanted to bring I mean, not everyone's able to go to Medina University, so I wanted to bring that knowledge to the UK. So I came back 2008. I established an institution to teach Arabic and Islamic studies. That was how it began. But over the years, it expanded to include madrasa for kids, kids activities, workshops, lots of other things. We even did it for a while, Hajj, Umrah, sorry, not Hajj, Umrah. So essentially, when you're in a community, people have needs. And at some point, you think, okay, I can do this, or I can do this, or I can do this, and then eventually you find yourself doing everything.
So you found yourself there, basically, kind of hands in everything.
It was hands on in pretty much everything until eventually, I think I would probably honestly say I burnt out, because you're doing so many things all at once. You can't keep up.
Yeah.
So you eventually try to take a step back and focus on a few things rather than everything. But that's essentially where we are right now. So a lot of our things are moving online, and we're embracing the online atmosphere of pre-recorded lessons and workshops.
Okay.
That's more manageable than always having activities and always managing this and always organizing that and always being there. And it's too much for one person to do.
Yeah.
Or even a small group. Even a small group is still a lot to do.
Yeah. What do you primarily teach?
So at the moment, I've kind of taken a step back from teaching directly, meaning I don't actually have a lesson anymore that people attend like I used to. Before, I used to have lessons pretty much every day. I mean, 7 days a week, I used to have lessons like Arabic or Islamic studies. I would say in terms of quantity, I was mainly an Arabic teacher. And I used to weave within the Arabic lessons, the Islamic studies. And the main reason for that was the unfortunate reality is that people are happy to sign up to an Arabic class, but it comes to an Islamic studies class, it's not always the same. People are not always as enthusiastic, unfortunately. So I try to give it to them by force.
Yeah.
I tried to say, yeah, we're doing Arabic class, and when I got here, we started talking about fiqh, we started talking about aqidah, we started talking about everything else. Some appreciated it, and some definitely didn't. So that's essentially where, as part of why I got burnt out, because you try to do good for someone, and then sometimes people complain, and it hurts.
Yeah.
As human beings, we get hurt by things. So eventually, I figured, okay, let's take a step back and deliver your lessons. If anyone wants to attend, they can attend. If they don't want to attend, they don't attend. But other than that, just make it available. So that's why my approach changed from live in-person lessons to just record it and make it available. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why effectively I kind of stopped doing that teaching and focused on the developing the website, developing the platform, developing the infrastructure for it to happen.
Okay. So when did you transition then into, because it almost seems like a lot of your online personality talks primarily about crypto and business and finances.
Okay, so that happened. That shift happened. Well, it was a gradual shift, I would say. So 2017,
Mm-hmm.
it began with actually my Arabic classes. So because I'm the one who manages the website,
Okay.
I wanted to implement. I implemented payment or accepted payment for the classes on the website.
Okay.
And I think there was an issue I had with PayPal. There was some moan that they had about payments. And I was saying to myself, why should I have to deal with these people moaning about my own payments? I mean, I'm getting paid. It's not their money. Why do I have to deal with their nonsense?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew of Bitcoin. And I said to myself, let me at least accept payment in Bitcoin. So at least then I can have more money without them being involved in my business, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I integrated payment. I downloaded the plugin. I integrated payment on Bitcoin into my website. I tried it out. It worked. I was happy. Great. And then I kind of forgot about it for about a month or two. And then I went back again to check, has anyone used it or not? I noticed that the money I used to pay for the class as a trial payment, it went up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why did that happen? So then I started to look into the Bitcoin more, as in what is it about? How does it function? And that kind of began my journey into looking at Bitcoin. And essentially, Bitcoin opened the doors to a whole array of other things.
Hmm.
What is money? What is banking? How do banks work? How does the government work? What are taxes? What's their role? And it just began from there, the avalanche of learning about the world as it works, as it functions as a whole. So I spent like 3 years non-stop, like reading, consuming, interacting, even attending workshops, learning how to program, smart contracts on Ethereum and that kind of stuff. I even went that deep into the industry. I wanted to know everything about it because for me,
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was an opportunity to exit the banking system, to exit the riba system. I thought, wait, I hate banking and I hate riba. I hate this fiat. I don't want to use it. I don't want to be involved in it. And this is actually a possibility. Maybe this could be a way out for us, or way out for us as a whole, way out for me. So I went into it. And I think it was 2020 was when first time I began to convey what I had learned in a more formal manner with a workshop. I did a workshop with Knowledge College with Da'man or Imran, about Bitcoin, about cryptos, about banking, about all the stuff I had spent the last 3 years learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of over time became the more dominant thing I spoke about,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because it was a thing that no one really knew about, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tawheed, there's loads of Tullab out there speaking about Tawheed, speaking about Shirk and Bid'ah and Milad and Nabi. There's no shortage of knowledge about that.
Mm-hmm.
But actually having real knowledge about Bitcoin wasn't really out there. So I wanted to get that out there so people can know about it. And also there's that enthusiasm I had about exiting riba, to leave the riba system. I mean, I'm really, to this day, I'm really excited about the opportunity for Muslims to leave the banks. And that's become my main focus and my main da'wah, is that, guys, we've moaned for decades that we're forced into having a bank account, we're forced into doing this, we're forced into doing that. But reality, we're no longer forced. We don't have to anymore. There is actually a way, there is actually an exit. So come on, guys, take the exit.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, however, there are those who resist and those who still want to remain prisoners. There's always the
few.
what do they call it? That's the word they use. The word how the express. My apologies for the expression, but there's always the house nigger who wants to stay a slave. There's always that guy who wants to remain a slave. Doesn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that parallel is real.
Yeah.
I think that parallel is real. There's the guy in the fields. He's the real guy dealing with the reality of life.
Yeah.
But there's the guy in the house. He's got it nice. It's a nice warm home. He gets to dress well. He gets all the nice perks of being the house nigger. So when it's time to be emancipated, to be free,
He doesn't
the
want
guy's
to.
in the field. He's gone. The guy in the field. He's back. He's packed his whatever he could. He's ran.
Yeah.
But then that one guy saying, but where would I go?
Mm-hmm.
What? How can I leave my massa?
Mm-hmm.
How can I leave my massa? So that's I think that is still a thing. I think that is a real thing for many people. They don't want to leave the comfort of banking, the comfort of fiat system gives.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very scared of the volatility and scared of the uncertainty, and that's fair. But that's essentially what we're dealing with, I guess.
Okay.
So that's why I'm active in this field. I'm active in trying to keep people up to date, and more importantly, I'm active to try and make Muslims understand. Number one, there is an alternative, and number two, if we don't embrace it now, it may be too late later on. And I actually have a video on this, and I titled the video something like let's embrace it now. So build systems before systems are built for you.
Yeah.
It's very important. If we're not building systems for ourselves, we're going to come to a point where others, the non-Muslims, have built systems for us.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you expect that system going to be like? What do you expect it to look like?
Exactly what it is now.
Exactly what it is now. So we need to start picking up the mantle and putting forward ideas, putting forward alternatives, and building our future, and not wait for others to build it for us. I mean, just as an example, just to show how unfortunate our situation as Muslims are. When the idea of Islamic banks became a thing in the 90s or early 90s or not, some people actually approached banks in a Muslim country, not say which country it is, but in a Muslim country, and said, look, you could do banking in an Islamic way, quote unquote. And those banks rejected the idea, said, no one's going to accept this. They didn't accept the idea of this. It was only when HSBC launched their Amana product, which was basically a Sharia compliant bank account, that the bank accounts in that country accepted it and sold it as a product. But the point here is, why did they have to wait for HSBC to do it when it was there from the start? We have a Sharia and we have a whole system. Why do we have to wait until they make it before we adopt it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it might be a radical view, but I think sometimes, especially in this time and age, we need to be radical.
Yeah, we do. I don't think it's personally a radical view because, like you said, like you mentioned, if you let them build it, they're gonna build it their way, and now you're upset because they built it for them their way. So with that, I feel like it's a good. You picked up the mantle, right? Of I'm going to go out and I see this is a untapped market. We need to be educated on it before it's too late. But what do you really mean when you say before it's too late? Like, what does that look like?
So let's take a step back and let's look at what we currently have.
Yeah.
What we currently have is a system of fiat money. And for those who don't know what fiat is, who are listening, fiat money is essentially money that is issued, it comes into existence through lending. So money is created through a loan. This shows the intrinsic connection between riba, the interest, and fiat money. They're intrinsically attached. You can't detach the two. If you said tomorrow we're going to ban the issuance of new currency or ban riba in our industry, fiat would collapse. It wouldn't exist anymore because they're intrinsically attached. Now, we don't see it that way because I get paid for my work, my labor in this money, and I pay my bills in that money. We don't see that it's connected to riba, but like I said, in its issuance, it's riba. How you receive it, so when one bank sends more money to another money, there's riba involved, there's a loan involved, there's credit involved. When you're making payments, there's credit involved. Everything is surrounded by credit. Even the fact that we have inflation, that's necessary for the system to work. You have to have inflation because if it's deflationary, the system will collapse. As if the amount of money in the system decreases, therefore you can't pay back the loans. So you have to constantly increase the amount of money through more money lending through riba. We now have a different system, Bitcoin, whereby the money is issued through labor. You mine Bitcoin, you provide a service, and you're rewarded with Bitcoin. So number one, I could say you deserve it because you did work for all of us and you were paid in your labor. That's number one. But number two, the money now exists without the need for a loan. I can send money to you and it's direct. I don't have to wait for final settlement in some bank account here after 4, 5, 6 days or 2 weeks through some kind of credit system. There's no need for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's literally peer-to-peer transaction. I send my money from my wallet to your wallet, and it gets to you. As soon as the transaction is confirmed, it's your money. So in terms of the issuance, there's no riba. In terms of the transaction, there's no riba. So that's the opportunity we have to exit the system of riba. That's number one. But now it comes to the issue of building. Bitcoin is programmable money, meaning that it's a system that you can actually program it to do something, however you want to program it. So therefore, for example, I can imagine making a marketplace, for example, whereby we have what's called an escrow system, whereby the customer, pay the merchant a fee for a service or product, but on the marketplace, that fee is locked in a wallet or locked in an account that can't be redeemed until the service is rendered. That's programmed. That's something you can program in a system. That's something you can actually do. So you can actually make a marketplace that doesn't require a person to press a button or whatnot. As soon as the product is being rendered, the money can be released, and you can do away with the issue of risk. I give the guy the money, he's not giving me the product. I can program it to do that, for example. Or there's many things you can do. You can program pretty much any. It's a program. It's just about your imagination. What can you imagine me to do, and how can I program that so we can interact in that way? So basically, we need to figure out, look into the Sharia, look into the Quran and the Sunnah, look at the ways in which we can transact, which Allah has allowed us to transact, and essentially program that, make it happen, make that system, make the Sharia programmable. So therefore, I don't need to get an interest-bearing loan to buy a car anymore. I can use a system to buy my product or service. So, for example, as an example, imagine I want to buy a property. I haven't got money to buy a property. The current system is to go to a bank, and the bank will give me a loan to buy a property. And then the bank would issue new money for me to buy the property, give that newly minted money to this person who owns the property. Now I have the property, but now the bank has my property on their balance sheet as an asset. And anyway, that's how banks work.
Yeah.
Whereas now we've got programmable money. What we can do is form a consortium or like a federation of people. So there's a property, it's worth $100,000. I've only got $10,000. You've got $5,000. He's got $7,000. He's got $20,000. We can actually pool our money together and purchase the property automatically, and actually have shared ownership in the property. And the ownership of the property could be determined by the coin itself, by the transaction in and of itself. We can actually be provable who owns what and how much they owe of the property purely from the program. That can happen. You can do that. Even today, you could do it in terms of business. I can launch a business. I can sell shares of my business programmably. They give me the Bitcoin and they get a token. That token actually is a share of the actual company.
Okay.
And every time you make revenues every month or every year, a share of that revenue can actually go to them. So we can actually prove the ownership of a company, and they can actually give dividends to different people based on that share. So this essentially is how, or one of the ways, or some of the ideas that you can have to find new systems, find new ways to do business.
Okay. Can I ask you, because it's a lot that you just gave. So to the layman Muslim who may not even really understand crypto or understand Bitcoin, and they feel like I got a lot going on already in my world, to now add that to my brain and digest that, how does all of this really apply to them? Why does it matter to them?
So the way to answer that question is complicated because every single person is different.
Yeah.
So let's start off by answering the base question. Why is Bitcoin important to every Muslim? Because not everything is important to every Muslim.
Yeah.
But some things are important to everyone.
Yeah.
What's important to every Muslim is to find avenues to escape riba.
Yeah.
And to escape the institutions of riba. Let's not fool ourselves. Just because you have a bank account that doesn't give you any interest doesn't mean you have escaped the system. You are well within the system. They are using your bank balance as their own liquidity for their own activities. Don't think that because you don't charge interest, you don't take out any loans, that you've escaped. You've not escaped. You're well within their system. So as a Muslim, you need to find a way to escape that system. That's just a given. I mean, we Muslims boycott Israeli dates. Although the dates haven't committed any crimes, the dates haven't committed any crime whatsoever. But yet we want to exit the institution of Israel. We don't want to enrich them and their institution. We want to exit their system. So we don't buy their dates. So if we're willing to boycott their dates, why are we so reluctant to boycott the banks?
Yeah.
So from a holistic approach that applies to every Muslim, you need to, as a Muslim, find avenues to escape the system. Now, it doesn't have to be through Bitcoin. You can escape the system through gold. You can say, well, my battle against the system will be to put my savings into gold, put my savings into silver, put my savings into real estate, put my savings into something else. You can do whatever you need to do to preserve your wealth, to save your wealth in a way which is outside the banking system. But we should, at some level, find alternatives where there existed. Now, there wasn't always alternatives. In the 80s, in the 90s, and vast majority of the noughties, there was no alternative to the bank. The bank was the only way to get paid and to pay.
Right.
But today, we have alternatives. So it's disingenuous, it's not fair to say, oh, but we're forced. Well, we're not anymore. We're not really forced anymore. We have alternatives. The question is, though, how much pain are you willing to endure for that sake? Just like the Sahaba, the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they endured pain to make the migration. They left their property and their family behind in Mecca. They go to a foreign city that wasn't their city to go live. Why? For Islam. They made the sacrifice for Allah and His Messenger. So at some level, Muslims have to accept that you may have to migrate, make the hijrah from the haram to the halal in whatever way you can do so. If there's no way to make hijrah, then it is what it is. There's no way to make hijrah. But if there is a way to make hijrah, then make the hijrah. So that's to answer that question for everyone.
Yeah.
But as for the question which is more specific, the businessman, the guy who wants to use Bitcoin or has been told you can use Bitcoin for business, you can use Bitcoin for savings, you can use Bitcoin for other things, that's more specific to an individual, then my answer to them is knowledge. Education is a part of making knowledge. And I think that's what your channel is all about. Your channel is about taking information from someone who has it and giving it to those who don't have it.
Correct.
Anyone who's listening to this video, they can't come to this video and say, oh, all this is too much information. That doesn't make sense. You come to this video for information. So you can't now say that information being given to you is too much. You've acknowledged that you need it.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to improve your situation in this life is through knowledge. That's what the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us. That's the only thing he gave us. Knowledge. There's nothing he gave us other than knowledge. The Kitab and the Sunnah, the Quran and the Sunnah. And with this knowledge, this is our weapon in this life. We fight with knowledge. This is our weapon with knowledge. So you can't now say, as a Muslim, you can't now say, it's too much knowledge. That's like saying, I have too many weapons. I have too many weapons to fight. There's no such thing as too many weapons to fight. If anything, it's not enough.
Yeah.
If anything, we don't have enough knowledge. We need more knowledge. And I don't think there's any single influencer who is teaching people about making money, whether it be Muslim or non-Muslim. There's not a single one of them I've ever heard in my life who has ever said anything other than read books, educate, ask questions, research, learn. That's why people who win the lottery, they don't stay rich for long.
No.
Because they have the money, but they haven't had the knowledge that keeps that money.
Yeah.
They never earned the money. They never had this that gave them the money. They just chose a random number and they got the money, and then the money was spent like that. That's why many people have to, even when once they come to money, they have to actually now take dars, they have to take lessons to learn money. And I saw this little short video, it was a really good video, from Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned that when he first got his first paycheck for, well, I think he got signed up for some basketball team, and he got his first paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he did was bought a car, I think it was a brand new car from the dealers. And when he brought it home, his dad said, "What about my one?"
Mm-hmm.
So he went back, bought his dad his share, he bought his dad a car. And then the bank manager, whatever, called him up. And this is probably one of the few times the banks actually do something useful. And they basically sat him down and said, "Look, you've got the money now, and that's great. But now you need to start thinking about developing this, because if you don't do this, your money's going to go very soon." Because they saw what they've seen many times before. The youth on the street never had much. Now they got the money. First thing they do is go and blow it.
Yeah.
Because they never knew how to have money. They never knew how to manage the money. So when the money is now gone, and the cash cow that gave them the money is now also gone, they're back to square one. That's why Shaquille O'Neal today was a multi-billionaire, because he fixed the smarts.
Yeah.
He did the basketball. He did his thing. He shoot the hoops and he made the money. But once his career in basketball was over, he as a person wasn't over. He only began. Basketball only gave him the seed money to build his empire. Now he's a multi-billionaire. He's got houses all over the place. He's got so many houses. He doesn't need half of that. He's got so much money. He doesn't need a fraction of that. He just throws money here and throws money here and like, okay, I just lost 20 million here. Who cares? I mean, that's how much money my man's got. So, but the thing is, he is the way he is now because of this.
Yeah.
Not because of his hoops. He could shoot, because of this what he developed. So anyone who says, "Oh, crypto's too much," is too much. Yes, it is overwhelming. But the advantage you have right now is that it is overwhelming for the vast majority of people. If you overcome this hurdle of education, you'll be from the 0.01% who get it. This is where the money is made when you're there. The Sahaba, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, they achieved the highest levels of praise from Allah Azza wa Jal because they realized the gem at the beginning. They didn't wait until the conquest of Mecca to jump into Islam. They jumped into Islam, and Islam was still being oppressed. The Muslims were still being killed. When Bilal was still had a rock on his chest saying Ahad, Ahad, one, alone. At that moment they saw it, and they struggled. But yeah, you see, I'm telling you now, the Bitcoin is there, the system is there. It's ambiguous, it's unsure, it's unclear. Educate yourself. Learn about the system. Once you learn about the system, guarantee you, your mind will be buzzing with ideas. I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. It's now about execution. Right now you're wondering, what can I do? Because you don't know yet.
Yeah.
Learn, and then it will open up. And it actually reminds me, my very first year in Medina University. My very first year, I can barely speak Arabic. I'm just learning this stuff. I started to attend the lessons of Sheikh Ubaid al-Jabari. And I started to think, we just learn a bit of language. I was excited. I was thinking, what? I want to ask the Sheikh a question because that's a tulab al-ilm, that's the student of knowledge. They ask questions. I want to ask a question. And the first question I asked the Sheikh, I have a teacher who said this and the other. What do you say about this person? And the Sheikh said to me, Udrasul ilm barakallahu feek. Study knowledge, may Allah bless you. The Sheikh recognized my question was stupid. Meaning, there was so much more knowledge I had to learn, and I was busy myself with this person, that person, this person, that person. His answer to me wasn't, "Oh yeah, this person, what he said is wrong. He's that." He just said to me, "Seek knowledge." And I said to myself, it pained me because it basically said, "You're an idiot. You're asking a stupid question." But then when I sat down and started to listen to the other Saudis who were in the lesson asking questions, they were asking questions about fiqh, about business, about inheritance, about this and the other. And I thought to myself, okay, I want to ask a question like that. And I couldn't think of a single thing to ask because there was nothing up here. It made me realize that the cure to my sickness is to seek knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, then you have the things that you can ask. Then you can start your perspective widens and the scope widens. Just like those Saudis who were in the lesson, they were asking the questions because their perspective was already widened. They already had learned some things. Now they're asking more things. But me, Miskeen, in my first year, all I knew is هذا كتاب, and this is the book, هذا قلم, and this is the, all I could think of was this person, that person, this person. I had no real knowledge. So same thing with people. Sit down, humble yourself, educate yourself, and learn this industry or learn about Bitcoin. Once you do that, everything else will open up. And that's why on my channel, I have almost 200 videos just on that topic. What is Bitcoin? What is money? What is the economy? How does it work? How does mining work? How does transaction work? How do you, all of it. All of it's there explained specifically for that question. People ask that question, how do I get involved? How to learn about it? It should be all there for you. And there's other books, other things you can learn from Bitcoin Standard, and there's the Price of Tomorrow. Lots of things you can learn, lots of books out there to learn, but that's basically the answer. Educate yourself.
Yeah. I actually ended up looking at your course, and may Allah reward you. It's very informative. It's very detailed, which is very good because you go to the basics. So, alhamdulillah, it's very good. And I would definitely include the link when the video is posted, inshallah, because it's so much benefits to be extracted to break down everything. And when you, like you said, when you break down everything, you have so much of a better understanding just in terms of when you go and spend your money on and buying groceries, or when you're trying to conduct business with someone. And it's a very better understanding and a better look out to things. So with that being said, you mentioned your course is one place that people can learn. Do you know of any actual books that you can name?
Yeah, so generally there are a few books out there that is usually the go-to for everyone to learn. There is the book called the Bitcoin Standard, and the second part 2, which is the Fiat Standard by Saifuddin Amos. He's a Lebanese brother who wrote a book. So although the book is titled the Bitcoin Standard, Bitcoin only contributes probably about 5% of the actual book. The remainder of the book is actually about how the system actually works. Like I said, this is where this is why Bitcoin for me is a conduit. It's a means to open up doors that were previously closed. People think about Bitcoin and think, oh, how can I learn about Bitcoin? Not realizing that in order to understand Bitcoin, there's so many other things you have to also learn about. You have to learn about money, the history of money. Where did money come from? How was money historically? How was money in the past? What was used as money? What happened to the money of the past? Why is that money in the past no longer money? All these questions that need to be answered in your head for you to now crystallize what is Bitcoin today. You can't just turn up one day and say, yeah, Bitcoin is this, and understand. You have to first get what is money in the first place. This is why, like I said, the very first videos I made was about the history of Bitcoin, history of money, going back up to Adam alayhi salam. Did Adam have money? I mean, think about it. Ask yourself a question. Did Adam alayhi salam have money? And if he didn't have money, why didn't he have money? That's a very good question. The reason why Adam didn't have money is, in Jannah, is because economics. There was no economy in Jannah. There was no scarcity in Jannah. There was no scarcity, as in there wasn't a few things. Everything was abundant. Food was abundant. Everything was abundant. So there was no need to transact. There's no need to give and take. The only reason you would do that is to keep records of what people owe you and what you can get from other people. So money has a function, money has a history, money has a purpose, and understanding that purpose, not only does it teach you what Bitcoin is, it also teaches you the fundamentals of trade. What is the backbone of trade? What is the purpose of trade? The purpose of trade is for a person who has knowledge and skill to use that knowledge and skill to fulfill other people's needs and to be rewarded with a medium that allows others to fulfill his needs. Take that as a definition. People with skill and knowledge to take their skill and knowledge to solve other people's problems and get rewarded with a medium that allows others to solve their problems. It's a medium of exchange, a medium of solving problems. If you understand that, then hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, you'll be free, at some point, you'll be free from a lot of the fallacies, the false ideas of our current system. What are some of the false ideas of the current system? Number one, the necessity of credit. The idea that somehow you deserve something. That somehow something needs to be, that you need to, that you deserve some kind of payment for something. No. You don't deserve anything. You negotiate for what you get. You meet someone, you offer something for what you want, and he offers something for what he wants. And you come to an agreement and you make an exchange. That's business. That's how you make money, and that's how you get what you want. The idea that somehow you deserve something, somehow you're owed something, that's part of the fallacy we have of today, which comes through the idea of credit, which comes from the idea of the fiat system, that somehow money can be printed. Somehow money could be wished into existence and be given to someone. That's not how it works. You only get if you earn, and only spend once you've earned. These are fundamental mind-shifting ideas that comes only once you've opened up the doors to research and learning. That's why I say Bitcoin, it pushes you to learn these things.
Yeah.
So because Bitcoin can't be earned, can't be achieved without actually doing something, it wakes you up to the reality of life. This is how Islam works. You don't do things on credit, you do things on earning it. Look at the Sahaba. Look at the companion of the Messenger of Allah, who migrated to Medina, and his brother from the Ansar said to him, you can have half of my wealth, and you can have half of my wives. I have more than one wife, you can have some of them, you can have you have. And what did he say? No. Just point me to the marketplace, I get myself. Point me to the marketplace, I can earn my own keep. This is the izzah. This is what Islam is about. This is what it means to be a Muslim. I don't have something right now, but I can offer my services, I can offer my knowledge to others, I can enrich others, and they can enrich me. We can grow together. Whereas the riba system is not about that. Riba is about, I have wealth, and because I have wealth, I deserve more. So I'll lend you the money, but you must give me back more. I don't care if you make money, I don't care if you lose money, I deserve more back because I have money. This is a different shift in mindset. This is a different shift in behavior. And that shift, hopefully, will have ramifications for someone beyond Bitcoin, just for business, just for business on its own. So yeah, I mean, that's. What should I answer your question? But that's.
No, you did. Alhamdulillah, it's good. It's good. Before we end, I do want to ask, because I feel like this might be really important. Those people who they understand Bitcoin, but maybe they understand it from the point of view of trading crypto or investing in crypto, and not necessarily building these tools with it, but rather just a part of making money off of it. How do you address that whole thought pattern?
So that thought pattern is essentially the exact same thing as the slave in America who managed to buy his freedom somehow. And the first thing he does when he buys his freedom is buy more slaves. I.e., his mindset is still of a slave. Listen carefully. He was a slave. He's now free from slavery. And the first thing he does himself is buy other slaves to be a slave for him. He hasn't exited the system. He hasn't left the system. He's still within the system. His mind is still within the system. We have fiat, which is basically a credit-based system. You've been given an opportunity to leave that system, and the first thing you do with it is try to find more ways to find more fiat. That is, for me, that is the only meaning for trading Bitcoin, is to try and use Bitcoin, use tools of freedom to buy more tools of slavery. Best believe those who want more fiat are essentially still slaves, because the only way you can hold that money is in the slaveholders' coffers, in the banks. That's the only way you can have it. I mean, I even made a tweet the other day as a funny tweet. I said, look, isn't it ironic that the slave owners put their faces on the currency that you're forced to use? Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Their faces are on the currency, showing you who really is in charge, showing you who really owns you. They put their face, they're reminding you every time you do business, who's in charge, who really owns you. They're reminding you. So the fact is, you now have a currency which has no face. There is no face to Bitcoin. It's just Bitcoin. And the first thing you want to do is buy more of your slave owners' currency. So that's my excuse, or that's my my response to such a person. I'm not saying you can't use the markets to try and acquire more wealth. I'm not saying that. But if you're, like I said, if you're using Bitcoin to buy it when it's low and sell Bitcoin when it's high, so you can get more fiat, that means you haven't learned the lesson. You've watched the podcast, but you watched it by doing something else. Maybe you're on your phone playing Instagram or something like that, or maybe it was, I don't know, texting your friend while you're watching it. You missed the message. The message is Bitcoin is a tool for freedom. So the only thing you should be wondering and trying to acquire more of is more Bitcoin, not more fiat. And the only way to acquire more Bitcoin is to provide a service or a good to someone in trade, so you can acquire more Bitcoin. That's how else do you acquire more Bitcoin? Literally, how else do you do it? Now, some may say, "Oh, but brother, what you could do is you can sell Bitcoin when it's gone up high, and when it goes in low, you can buy more Bitcoin." Okay, if that's what you want to do, then you do that. But there's no guarantee it's going to work, and I guarantee you, 90% of those who think they're going to do that don't do that. They only end up with less Bitcoin.
What about
the end less Bitcoin? You gone?
What about other cryptos? Is it just Bitcoin, or is it the whole crypto world?
So Bitcoin is just a program. That's all it is. There's nothing more about Bitcoin other than a program. However, that's actually wrong what I just said, but I'll explain why that's wrong. So Bitcoin, some people might think Bitcoin is just a program, just code. What they don't realize is that Bitcoin is actually more than code, actually. Let me explain. Bitcoin has a history. Bitcoin has a culture. Bitcoin has a function that can't be and hasn't been replicated, hasn't been duplicated. Meaning, I could take the code of Bitcoin today and I can do what's called fork. I can make my own code. I can use the same code and make my own token and call it the Tucker coin. It will be identical in code to Bitcoin, but it won't be Bitcoin. Why won't it be Bitcoin? Because my coin has a founder. That's me. It has a function. It has a history. It has something about it that is not just the code.
Yeah.
So you can't compare Bitcoin to other coins and say that they're exactly the same. Bitcoin actually has no founder. Well, it has a founder, social, but it has no owner. Nobody actually owns Bitcoin. No one can decide which direction Bitcoin goes. Any upgrade, quote unquote, to the network has to go through something called consensus, meaning that you can release the code, but we as participants have to agree to use this upgrade, otherwise it won't become Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, it becomes a consensus model. It becomes something that we all agree what it is. There are no tokens that exist like that. So other tokens that exist, they are not decentralized like Bitcoin. For example, Ethereum, which is the second largest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, has leaders. It has a roadmap. They are telling you what's going to happen on the dates, and this is how it's going to happen. They're telling you how the system works. If I said to you, there's a system, and there's these group of guys who tell you how it's going to work, and you have no say in that, who's in control of the system? You or them?
No.
They are. Bitcoin doesn't work that way. Bitcoin, if you don't want it to happen, it won't happen. You can run your own node, and you can vote by your own node how the network functions. So this is why I say Bitcoin is not like other coins, because Bitcoin actually is a decentralized system that functions in that manner. And let's see why that's important. That's important because we want a system that is an alternative to fiat, not the same as fiat. If you have another token like Ethereum, like Cardano, like Ripple, that have CEOs, that have managers, who have people who decide where it goes, that's essentially the same as fiat.
No.
They decide how it functions. Just the other day, last year, Ethereum developers decided they're going to change how Ethereum tokens are issued. They're going to reduce the supply. The year before, they even introduced a new system that says that every time you transact, they're going to burn or destroy some Ethereum. They are telling you how the system works, how much is issued or how much is destroyed. They control the actual system. It's just like fiat.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is not like fiat. the Bitcoin that existed at the time of the beginning is the same Bitcoin of today. It will never be 21. There'll never be more than 21 million. The same Bitcoin from then still functions to today. There hasn't been any hard forks. So that's something when people say, "Oh, Bitcoin, crypto, they're all the same." No, they're not all the same. Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that can and is an alternative to the fiat system. All other cryptos are just another fiat. It's just not government fiat.
Okay. This one is a two-for question. The first part of the question is how do we make it then, or what's your opinion on making it sort of common to use, regular to use, as we are so used to using fiat? How do we do that then for Bitcoin? And I'll let you do that first question while I think of the other part.
So the issue of what's called living the Bitcoin standard. Again, that's down to a personal circumstance. How you earn money, how you charge for your services, who's your network, who are your circle of people. That really depends on that. However, if you was wondering, can I live on Bitcoin? The answer is yes. There are so many tools out there that allow you to spend your Bitcoin as you like. You can have your Bitcoin and you can spend it. Now, whether the person gets the Bitcoin or they get whatever fiat they want, that's a separate discussion. You can get what's called a crypto card. For example, you can get the Coinbase card or the Wirex card or the Ledger card or whatever cards exist. You can load it with Bitcoin, and only when you spend, it gets converted into dollars or liras or euros or whatnot, and they get what they want, and you have what you want. You can do that. I have videos on that. My most recent videos about living the Bitcoin standard. You can do that. I myself, I pay my bills in Bitcoin. I pay my rent in Bitcoin. I travel on Bitcoin. I pay my hotels on Bitcoin. Airbnb, Bitcoin. I've been living on Bitcoin for the last since 2020 because I thought to myself, it makes no sense me waving the flag of Bitcoin and the
Not
Bitcoin
living
standard
it.
and the Riba and not living it.
Yeah.
So I decided any money I get immediately will go into Bitcoin. And when I want to spend it, I spend it from Bitcoin. If the Bitcoin price goes up, fine. If the Bitcoin price goes down, fine. That's my price I pay to exit the system. It may be painful, the price going down, but I also know the price will go up. So for me, I'm all right. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, but at least I am not within a system. At least Yawm al-Qiyamah, I can say, Ya Allah, I did try. I actually did try, and I even tried when it pained me. It hurt me, but I tried. I think that's what people need to recognize in their soul. If you're going to decide to try, but there's definitely going to be reward in this life and the next, I believe. Allah knows best. But that's the first part. But the second part I would say is, in terms of making it more commonplace, would be to tell people to start paying you in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Even incentivize them, saying, look, if you want to pay me in fiat, this is the price. If you pay me in Bitcoin, I'll give you 5% discount. I'll give you 2% discount. I'll give you a discount if you pay me in Bitcoin. So you encourage people to pay you in Bitcoin. That's what we do on our website. We have them on our website. If you pay us in Bitcoin, you get 20% discount. 20%, you get discount, you just pay us in Bitcoin. It's fine. Because at the end of the day, I know that number one, that 20% will come back at some point. If I just hold that Bitcoin for a number of years, it will pay back more in dividends. And number two, I am depriving the banks from their cut. Every time they use their bank card, a portion goes to the bank. I'm enriching them by fractions of a dollar. I'm giving them some of my money. Whereas if I get payment in Bitcoin, I'm starving them of their oxygen. That's how I see it. They can agree. One can agree or disagree, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. So my second question was then people who feel fear of missing out, because like you said, Bitcoin is limited. It's not unlimited. There's a cap on it. So what do you say? I think I've recently seen like already 80 or over 90% of Bitcoin has already been like bought and like held.
More 90%, yeah. More than 90%, yeah.
So what about that person who feels like it's kind of too late, especially for me to like really grab it and hold the wealth in it? So what do you say to them?
So first and foremost, I would say to that person to stop thinking about Bitcoin as a means to make money. And that question still stems from that point. I'm not saying that you can't, for example, let's put it this way. Imagine you acquired 0.1 Bitcoin, not a whole one, just 0.1, which is about 2.7 $100,000. I am confident that over the next 10 years, you have to be able to buy a house. For example, that the price of Bitcoin to other assets would go up so much that you'll be able to buy a house with that 0.1 Bitcoin. I'm confident in the next 10 years that will be the case. I don't know the future, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty confident in doing so. So if someone said, okay, I'm going to do that, I can afford that, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to wait until I can buy my house with that. That's a fine strategy. That's fine. Because I do advocate and believe in the principle of buy, spend, and replenish. I don't advocate buy and hold. I don't think just buy Bitcoin and leave it in a corner. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's. I think what should be the case is you buy a Bitcoin or you acquire Bitcoin. It's more accurate way of saying it. You acquire Bitcoin, you spend Bitcoin, and you replenish. You put it back. That's how you make a circular economy. You can't make a circular economy if you only buy it and hold it, because then if you want to get paid and you say I'm going to pay you on your Bitcoin, and then I say but I'm hodling Bitcoin, I'm going to spend it, then I'm breaking the chain. I'm breaking the cycle. The only way that you're going to accept Bitcoin and build your Bitcoin balance is if I'm willing to spend. And likewise, the only way I'm going to leave fiat and live with the Bitcoin standard is by people likewise who are willing to spend it. So you have to be willing to spend your Bitcoin for the cycle, for the system, for the ecosystem to grow. And more importantly, if you're not used to spending it, when it comes time to spend it, it'll be too difficult to actually spend. You won't actually spend. So you actually put yourself and your family in unnecessary difficulty when it's actually time to spend. You get used to treating Bitcoin as exactly that, money. I store my money in this place. When I need to spend, I spend on my needs, my bills, my whatnot. And then when I don't need to spend, I leave it in Bitcoin. Or I invest in business. Or I do something else. But I don't treat Bitcoin as
gold, essentially.
to make money. Yeah, you treat Bitcoin as basically a medium of exchange. It's there to store my wealth and spend when need to be and replenish when need to be. What it does do though, as a good business practice, is that as you know, Bitcoin on a 4-year cycle does tend to go up in value. It does make you think and assess business better, because if I'm going to invest in X business, they kind of have to outperform Bitcoin. They have to do better than Bitcoin. Therefore, I have to be really confident that this is a good business. It makes you think better. It makes you make better decisions. And therefore, I don't spend my money willy-nilly and throw it at any old nonsense. I start spending properly on good projects that actually have a future, not on rubbish. Same thing on spending. I could buy a brand new iPhone today. I mean, I bought a new iPhone last year. I could buy a brand new iPhone this year and buy a brand new iPhone next year. And I'll think to myself, but wait, that same money that I could spend on Bitcoin on iPhone, I could just keep the iPhone I have and just keep Bitcoin. Therefore, after 5 years, I can buy 10 iPhones with the same money I would have bought. Now, you start thinking better and start spending better. You start spending money on rubbish and start spending money on literally that which actually has real value. And that's one of the bad effects of fiat money. Because fiat money is so trash, you waste it on nonsense because it's so trash. It inflates every year, it goes down, and you start wasting it. Whereas with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is actually valuable, you start thinking deeply.
Yeah.
Do I really want to buy this new iPhone? I mean, my iPhone actually works perfectly fine. And this new feature iPhone has, I don't really need some AI laser thing jiggy. I don't need that really.
Yeah.
So I could just have sabot until next year or the year after. Or what I do, which is something I advise others to think about, what I actually do is that anything I really want to buy, I actually put that money aside in a wallet, a separate wallet. I put it aside. This is what I'm going to use to spend on this, like maybe a new computer or a new car or not. Put money aside, and I say to myself, I will buy the thing when Bitcoin gets to this price, so I get a discount. If I bought it now, it would be £5,000. But if I buy it in the next 10 years time, or 5 years time, or 1 year time, or if I buy it at this point here, I'll get 0.5% discount or 75% discount. I get a discount. What that teaches me is sabr. I don't have to buy the thing now. I could wait a few months.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big discount. You can say, I want a 5% discount. I want a 2% discount. Bitcoin moves that much. You can get a 5% discount in a month. It's not a big deal. Just wait. From the time you make a decision, this is the price of Bitcoin now at 25,000. Okay, when it reaches 30,000, I'll buy. Therefore, I know I got a discount from the moment I wanted it. I got a discount from the moment I wanted it. You're training yourself to have sabr. Like we train ourselves every Ramadan to have sabr for eating, you're training yourself to have sabr in spending. So Bitcoin actually trains you to be a better Muslim.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so with that everything you've just said, what is maybe the dream of what you're doing? Because you are teaching, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what you're doing across all your social platforms. What is the goal? What are you trying to get to within the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years, inshallah?
My ultimate goal, which I'm working on right now, is to build an online community marketplace platform where Muslims can transact amongst themselves in Bitcoin internationally, borderlessly, without any issues, which ultimately would allow Muslims, which my second favorite, or next, not next second favorite, my next favorite topic, allow Muslims to make the hijrah. So one of the biggest challenges we have is building wealth and taking it with us when we leave.
Yeah.
If we can build an international community where we can actually take our business online and move abroad, we can actually live our lives, make money, do our business, and fund our lives abroad in the Muslim lands through Bitcoin.
Right.
So that means if I offer a service of consultation, we can actually book a consultation. We can book a consultation online. You can pay me in Bitcoin. We have the consultation, and the moment the consultation is over, I can now go do shopping with the same Bitcoin. I can pay my bills with the same Bitcoin. I don't have to wait 5 days, 4 days, or pay fees, excruciating fees through Western Union, get your money, or wait for banks. It's immediate. Like that, I can start paying and building that circular. My ultimate goal is to combine between the hijrah and the Bitcoin, building that online economy, making it available for everyone to use that platform. That's my ultimate goal, which I'm hoping I'm working towards, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's what I would like to have. And I'm sure every Muslim, that's their dream. Every Muslim's dream is that we want to live with the Muslimin, transact with the Muslimin, do business with the Muslimin, and open the Muslims to international trade, just like that.
Yeah.
Where a man in the UK can pay you right now in Saudi Arabia, and he gets paid straight away. And he can pay someone on some immediate payment, just like that, across the board.
Yeah.
That means all those people in Africa, in Morocco, in Egypt, in Malaysia, they can get paid instantly from the West, and they can bring all that wealth to their countries. That is my ultimate goal. And I think if that happens, if we can do that, I reckon the impact to the Muslim Ummah will be massive. So all those who say Bitcoin haram, just ask yourself the question, okay, if Bitcoin is haram, tell me how we achieve what I want to achieve right now. How do we do this?
Yeah.
How do we build this international community of Muslims, open up the Muslims to the world without the banks with their feet on your necks? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Without the banks freezing your accounts, holding your funds, asking you, who did you get the money from? Who sent this money? What's the reason for? Interrogating you for your money. How do you do that? Tell me how you do that. If you can do that without Bitcoin, ahlan wa sahlan, I will jump on that as well. But I know for a fact there is no escape from this prison except through Bitcoin. Not even with gold, by the way. Especially not with gold. You know where you do transaction with someone in Egypt through gold coins, that's for sure.
Okay. Can you tell the people where to find you? Where they can get more information from you and get in contact with you.
I have I'm mainly on Twitter and on Nostra. So Twitter, my handle is C_hash review, as a crypto hash review. And also I have a website called cryptohashreview.com. And like I said, that was my name initially, Crypto Hash Review, because my initial idea 2 years ago or 3 years ago was that I would give reviews on the crypto industry. But since then, I just put my focus purely on Bitcoin because nothing else really matters, really. I mean, nothing else really. My goals are on an ummah level. Crypto, all these other altcoins, they're just about ways to make it more fair. They don't have any real impact on the ummah. Bitcoin has an impact on the ummah, and that's my game. So I've been toying with the idea of changing my name, but for now it's still Crypto Hash Review. And that's, you can find me on that. I'm also on Instagram, same thing, Crypto Hash Review, and on website and whatnot. That's pretty much it. And also my YouTube channel, same thing. I have a few playlists covering the history of money, of Bitcoin, of fiat, of banking, addressing all the objections from the scholars about Bitcoin, addressing how it's halal, how the function, everything's all there. There's not much that is not happening. And just before this podcast, I was actually recording another video. I'm going to finish it up after this podcast, addressing the fatwa of Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili, hafidhullah. So that's going to probably launch sometime tomorrow, probably.
Okay.
I'll finish it up today.
Inshallah. Finally, before we officially end, can you just leave some last minute words from it, wherever you want to pull it from, some last minute reminders or reminder, just one.
Al-Sharia, ya ikhwan, al-Sharia. Allah has given us a whole system to live by. And it's unfortunate that we as Muslims, we don't know about the Sharia, and unfortunately some of us are not even interested in even implementing it in our daily lives. If you have as a goal in your life to worship Allah upon Tawheed, Allah alone with no partners, and to embody and live everything of His life, of His Sharia that He's given for our lives, this will push you to act in that manner, even if it makes life difficult, even if you have to take a longer route. There's a reason why Allah gave us the Sharia, and we need our best to try our best. We need to try our best to implement that in everything, in marriage, in divorce, in wudu, in transactions, in studying, everything. And we should try and find as many ways as possible to enable us to do that. Inshallah, bi'idhnillah, hopefully the ummah, with that knowledge that we learn ourselves and we pass on to others, we can bring the ummah back to the Sharia as a whole, both implementing it on a government level and also on a personal level.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you so much for giving your time. You guys don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The links will be posted below where you can find the brother and all his information and his online playlists. Jazakallah khair again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.